Assalamu alaikum. You're watching Views and News, and I'm Faisal Rahman live from our Islamabad studios. As we all know, that the Prime Minister Imran Khan Sahab has left for the SCO summit now. He had some very important meetings, including the President of Iran also there. And now the major issue that would be discussed in SCO would be about the future of Afghanistan, about the peace process, about the interim government, the kind of support they need, whether it's the financial support or the moral support or the diplomatic support or the political support. So these are the major challenges ahead. There are rumors, or rather there are reports, that the infighting within the ranks of the Taliban, it has also taken place. So what sort of arguments are there? Whether is it about the future mode of governance, whether it is about the positions that certain people need to hold. So there are multiple angles associated with it also. But before I introduce you to our panelists, our production team has prepared a package. Let's watch that first.
Afghanistan, a state which remained the target of power-listing entities for 40 years, has now become a vital actor whose abruptly changing political particularities are challenging as well as defining the directions of the current and the future world order. Pakistan, as a neighbor and the most assertively engaged country in making Afghanistan a prosperous country, is playing a core role in shaking the power balance in the South Asian region. Since the United States has pulled out and the Taliban have taken over the reign in Afghanistan, all the political dynamicity has further highlighted Pakistan's geostrategic importance in the region. Prime Minister Imran Khan's reply of absolutely not regarding clearing the United States' strategic mess in Afghanistan and not acting as a hired gun for the United States has amplified its clear message of promoting interdependence and multilateralism in the international arena. The congruency of the multilateralist approach of Pakistan with China and Russia's interdependent Eurasian dream is a setback to the United States' existing hegemonic rhetoric in South Asia. Moreover, Pakistan, China, and Russia's congruent approaches regarding making Afghanistan a constructive partner in the regional economic interdependence and prosperity is also challenging the United States' international supremacy. Moreover, in the recent interview with CNN, Prime Minister Imran Khan reiterated that no power can control the Taliban from outside Afghanistan and said that the world should incentivize the Taliban to avert the humanitarian crisis which is looming in Afghanistan. Moreover, he emphasized that the world should push the Taliban and Afghanistan in the right direction. Prime Minister Imran Khan also declared that Pakistan wants a normal relationship with the United States.
Now, to talk about this, let me quickly introduce you to our panelists. We have with us in our studio on my right is Dr. Zafar Nawaz Jaspal Sahab, expert on foreign affairs and expert on international relations. Professor, thank you so much for your time, sir. What a pleasure to have you on the show. And we also have with us Air Vice Marshal retired Ikramullah Bhatti Sahab. He's a senior analyst. Thank you so much, sir, for your presence as well. And we'll be shortly joined by Umar Khan Ali Sherzai Sahab. He's a former ambassador to Afghanistan. And he'll be joining us in another couple of minutes. But let me start off from you, Dr. Zafar. Let's start off from the interview that was given to CNN by Prime Minister Imran Khan Sahab. He said that we need to incentivize, these Afghan Taliban, because currently whenever you switch on any Western channel, so whether it's CNN, whether it's BBC or otherwise, it seems that there is a proper by-book campaign against the Afghan Taliban. They're talking about the women's rights, they're talking about the human rights, and they're just showing every negative aspect of it, rather than also throwing light on what the positive has happened during the last, I would say, 4 to 5 weeks. Now, sir, let's start off from there. When you say that Pakistan really wants that the Western world should give them some sort of an incentive so that they can move forward, whether it's in the financial form, as I said, or the moral form, political or perhaps diplomatic. Dr. Saab, let's start off from there, sir.
I think that in the last 4 weeks, we have seen that the same kind of the propaganda about the Taliban have been articulated in the Western media or in the everyone was talking about. And I failed to understand the demands which they were making. They were asking from the Taliban whether they place the Taliban in Kabul. EU, if you see, Americans, if you see, yes, they have a blackmailing, you can say, capacity in the shape of economics. But apart from that, the Americans, Europeans, as well as the neighbors of the Afghanistan, they are very much dependent on the Afghanistan stability, because There are many transnational organizations have a, you can say, safe havens there. And if we not, if they do not engage Taliban constructively, there is a probability that these kind of the organizations will be strengthened. So there is a need, which the Prime Minister also referred, that there is a need to engage them, not to disengage them. Unfortunately, the Western media, the way they are coming up, or the Western powers with their demands, if they focus on demand and they are giving the impression that if their demands are not fulfilled, they will be not going to release the funds or they will not engage. But what will be the outcome? The outcome will be that there will be more drug money, there will be more poppy cultivation, there will be more these kind of dependency on the illegal trade or these kind of the things. And wherever there is a illegitimate economy, that always strengthen the non-state actors' role, especially non-state actors which we say criminal actors. So by this way, I think that the government of Pakistan stands to engage them to further move ahead, because without, by disengaging in 9/11, the same groups, maybe you can say, what the Americans got or what we all received from the Afghanistan: bombs, terrorists, destruction, spillover. Our country was the biggest sufferer, safe havens. So that was the last 2 decades disengagement. If we learn from that disengagement, now let's give a chance to the engagement. So my understanding is that they are making their, because they think that women's rights, look, we have to keep in mind, even the women's rights in India or Pakistan, or they are debatable, because the rights of the...
It varies from culture to culture.
Culture to culture, society to society. And Afghanistan, still we are awaiting which political system will emerge. And if they go with their own understanding, their own culture, the modernity which they are expecting, or the culture which they are expecting, the Westerns, in the last 2 decades, they failed to cultivate that culture in that society. Only a few people. So I think that they have to now come out of this concept of attire in the culture. They have to come out of this concept of, you can say, they have to ask them to engage them in certain jobs like women's. They have to ask them for their education. They have to engage them and you can say sometimes facilitate them moving on that path. If they are not doing this, I think then they all will be disappointed, and that disappointment will be not for them, but it will be disappointment for everyone in the region as well. So that is my point.
All right. Now, a similar question to you, sir, but let me slightly change it a little. I was listening to Mr. Blinken when he was, there was a question answer session with the Senate's Committee on Foreign Affairs. And interestingly, he said that, well, I agree that whatever we expected from the Taliban, they haven't done it yet. Sir, it's not even 4 weeks. What were the Americans expecting them, to do, and what they did not, by the way? Because I think they have really transformed themselves to a certain level, and what else the Americans want beyond that, sir? Your take?
Well, you see, the American withdrawal has been an embarrassment internationally and domestically within America. And of course, this is one way to reduce that embarrassment by accusing the Taliban and saying that they haven't come up to the expectations of the West. And the fact is, as you just said, it's just been 4 weeks. And while the Taliban have maintained for the last year or 2 years that they do not like to monopolize on power, and they have also said that they'll give due rights to women, and they will be setting up an inclusive government. Now, if they are looking at only the interim government, which of course is not totally inclusive as the Americans would have thought or the West would have thought, they do have some people who are not Pashtun, but of course right now they're all Taliban. But the fact is that it is an interim government, and the fact is also there that other than Panjshir, we know that there has been total peace within Afghanistan, which is unprecedented in last 40 years. That there are no incidents of violence or militancy in that country. So it is absolutely unfair to expect from Taliban that within 4 weeks they would come up and meet the expectations with the Americans have from them. Right now they are still holding on to their commitment and their promises. Ever since they signed that agreement, they did not attack the US forces. They just continue to fight with the Kabul regime and its forces. And of course, they are still committed to ensure that the soil of Afghanistan is not used against any other country.
Correct.
And of course, as far as giving rights to women, we see that there are women compares on TV channels, they are taking interviews. We also see the women medical staff working in hospitals.
But so the images that are being portrayed by the Americans, I mean, it says as if they are hiding in their houses, they are scared to come out, and the moment they'll step out, they'll be killed or something of that sort. That isn't true. Our own Pakistani Sherzai Saab, girls who were journalists, they went there, reported brilliantly, and they interviewed the Taliban and so many foot soldiers there. And they were also amazed that it seems like a different world. I mean, whatever we thought prior to that, Evim Saab, it isn't in reality.
Certainly, we also seen that sometimes 2 weeks back there was a protest by some women.
Yes.
They were holding placards and Taliban soldiers were protecting them.
Absolutely.
So if they can have that kind of tolerance where they can allow women to come on the streets and protest, I think that's a huge change.
They were protesting against them and they were protecting them, interestingly.
Yes. So I think it will be very wrong by the Americans to continue to project Taliban as people who are not allowing women to come out and go to schools, colleges, or universities, or take up a profession or earn their livelihoods and have their rights. And whereas we see that women are working just like they used to work in the Kabul regime. They're going to offices, they're coming on TV channels, and even as I said, they are allowed to even come and protest on the streets and ask for whatever they want to. So I think it is unfair that within 4 weeks they are wanting to come up and say that the Taliban have not come up with their commitment or their promises that they have made.
But interestingly, sir, Sherzai Saab, one of our colleague, good friend of ours from a private channel, he was in Panjshir and he was interviewing, and people were so happy out there. He said that not even a single crime has taken place so far. Nothing has been heard about anything being stolen from any shop or anywhere, like a car or a motorcycle perhaps. So they were very happy. Now the Americans are just showing a very small segment of the people living in Kabul which were very pro to the previous government and the Americans, and perhaps their interviews are shown in the Western world and elsewhere that they are very scared at the moment. But so it seems that the rest of Afghanistan is pretty happy.
Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. As you rightly pointed out, that a very small segment of the westernized Afghanis in Kabul, they are not happy with the Taliban government, but the rest of the Afghanistan, as you rightly said, that there is peace has returned to Afghanistan after 40 years. Stealing and dacoities and other all those bad deeds which were being carried out during the American occupation and the Ashraf Ghani and Karzai's government have come to an end at once. My own opinion is that as my colleague rightly said, that in order to cover up their embarrassment, the Americans are trying to make stories and trying to discredit the Taliban. But the fact of the matter is that I have been during Taliban's time as a Consul General in Kandahar. And the kind of peace which was prevailing in Afghanistan was unprecedented. Mm-hmm. It was not here in Pakistan. It is not here in Pakistan even now. People are doing a lot of things, but the areas under the control of the Taliban, I can tell you, there would be zero crimes. So, regarding the human rights, I personally believe that it is not for the America or the West to define what are the human rights. I think the women rights or the human rights which have been given by our Holy Prophet and Islam are unparalleled. Even in the West, they don't enjoy that kind of freedom which Islam has given to the women, barring that they are not allowed to roam around in almost half-naked fashion. Have ever any Muslim country objected to the America why your wives are roaming around or your women are roaming around half-naked? It is their culture.
Correct.
And Afghans have their own culture. Pakistan has its own culture. So they certainly, the Taliban have said that we will give all the rights to the women as provided in Islam. But, and they have allowed, as you said, that the women are working in the hospital, they are going to the schools, they are doing all other jobs, even taking interviews, but it is a pure propaganda by the West to discredit the
current regime.
Afghan government, because they fear that if that government succeeds, you know, it will have a spillover effect and might come out of the boundaries of Afghanistan to all the neighboring countries. So, and they want all these countries to be, you know, to have their own puppet kind of people. And I'm, frankly speaking, I'm very much impressed by the interview of Imran Khan, which we gave to the CNN. It was unprecedented. He spoke whatever a sincere Pakistani should have spoken.
He said, if I was the Prime Minister then,
I would have not allowed them.
Exactly.
I would not allow the Pakistan army to be on their side and give the intelligence sharing and all that. I would not have done. And that was what, when I came from Kandahar and the Americans were about to attack Afghanistan, there was a meeting in the Foreign Office chaired by the Foreign Minister Inam ul-Haq and also chaired by the President but attended by the Foreign Minister Inam ul-Haq. And I stood up there and I said, listen, the elimination of Taliban is not in the interest of Pakistan. If you side with the Americans against Taliban, it will have far-reaching consequences for Pakistan.
And that what we all
you
witnessed.
saw that for the last 20 years, how much Pakistan suffered. I think the worst sufferers are the Pakistani people. We suffered economically, financially, and the kind of human losses and the collateral damages that we suffered. I think no other country, including the America, has suffered that much.
That's correct, sir.
So we should give them time. They are now not those Talibans of the older time. They are very well groomed, and most of them, if they cannot speak English, that is not a disqualification. But they are very intelligent people.
How many Italians, Germans can speak English as well?
I tell you, I have seen their capabilities. They are capable to control Afghanistan and set their matters right.
Let's see, sir. Dr. Saab, now another point. I mean, there are stories, because, you know, whenever you watch the Indian channels, I mean, they have a certain narrative, and they are just trying to tell the whole world that Pakistan has supported and worked together with the Taliban to, you know, make sure that they are in the government. So finally they are, and now this is what is going to happen. This is about the human rights, this is about the women rights. I mean, what and what not. Now, the interesting part, Dr. Saab, is that it seems that the Western world, along with certain other countries, they have an agenda to make sure that should malign the Taliban regime to an extent that the entire media talks about it. Nothing is shown whatever good they have done so far, sir. That's not been reported. And on top, I mean, choice of their stories I mean, that is so obvious that we can actually tell what they are planning and thinking ahead. Then there are stories that has been rejected by the Taliban regime, that there are problems within the ranks of the Taliban. And obviously every government has it. That is not a big deal, finally, because it is just a matter of 4 weeks so far, but things will settle down. So do you think there is a deliberate attempt or a propaganda planning that the Taliban regime, or you may call it the government, but since it's not been recognized, let's call it regime, there is a proper force working against them to make sure that they should not be in power?
Faisal, first of all, if somebody is paying attention to the Indian media, I think there is some problem with that person or that company or that government. Because in the last 4 or 5 years, especially starting from the last 1 decade, what the Indians lost, one of their media's credibility. Indian media is 0%, you can say it has no credibility. Today, starting from the Disinfo lab and all these kind of things and these kind of stories which they hatched it, number one. Number two, it's very strange, and this is a strange thing, is that Americans and the international media or Western media, I cannot say international media because there are other media as well. We have a Central, Chinese, Russian, that is a different stories are there. But my understanding is that that media is coming up with this, that as they place the Taliban in Kabul, they fail to realize that since 2014, Americans, for the sake of their own soldiers, they were swapping prisoners with the Taliban.
That's correct.
In 2020, they signed a peace agreement with the Taliban, and then gradually Taliban won, and they did not, and the Americans failed diplomatically as well, because if they signed the peace agreement with the Taliban, then they had negotiated interim government, and that interim government had been installed, and then they start demanding these kind of the things. But they failed to do anything in the last more than 1.5 years, and ultimately Kabul fallen under the corruption or the misgovernance or the, what you call it, their bad army or whatever you can name it.
There are multiple factors.
Multiple reasons. Now, there is a time, if they have a rational approach and pragmatic way of thinking, that this, they all try to critically examine that why the Americans failed, why the Karzai or Ghani government failed to, you can say, transform the Afghan society, why the Taliban won. These are the questions which need. Instead of presenting that they are doing this or that, as Ambassador Saab had rightly pointed out, at least there is a peace in Afghanistan for the time being. Now, it's a perspective. When you look about the perspective, we have a different perspective about the Europe, they have a different perspective about the Pakistan,
Correct.
we have a different perspective about the Taliban, they have a different perspective about the Taliban. But one thing is, and nobody can deny this reality, the Taliban won the war. Taliban's insurgency of 2 decades ultimately ended up as a success, and it has been proven. What the American now senators are saying in their hearings on the Afghanistan, now the American Congress is very hot on this issue, and they are saying that they were rightly saying that you have watches and we have a time, and that happened. And today I think our daily had taken a lead from one senator in the United States who said that it's wrong to allege Pakistan that we facilitated Taliban to win. It was Trump administration which was failed. There is war is going inside the Congress. Democrats, Republicans,
blaming the previous
Biden, previous regime. So one has to listen that. They are identifying. Now, if they are focusing on, and here we have to not forget one thing. Generally we think that they are maligning the Taliban. No, they are, you can say, developing a nexus, proving this nexus, and ultimately they are coming towards us. Because if you see, they say, who stationed Taliban? Pakistan. Who is the culprit? Pakistan. Who is this? India has only, and India lost 3 billion investment projects in the Afghanistan, and Taliban intelligently said that for economics you are welcome, but you are not welcome because they were there for other business. They were investing this for creating or facilitating TTP, Islamic State, to conduct military operations in Pakistan, and that they failed. And that kind of thing Taliban are not permitting. Second point which we have to not forget, look, within the rank and files, there will be a contest, there will be some kind of a dissent in the Afghanistan.
Can that lead to a problem?
That is a normal process in this kind of the movements when they succeed. And if you see, Taliban has a various groups. We heard, let's say, Mashhad
when we heard
Shura.
Haqqanis versus
We are
Mullah
saying-
Brother.
No, we heard Mashhad Shura, Quetta Shura, Peshawar Shura, and then we say, and Haqqanis were foot soldiers basically from the very beginning to date. Naturally, there is a disconnect between the foot soldiers, and share goes with the, in such a system where you win this government with the, not by ballot but by bullet, by your muscle, military muscle, naturally the people who contribute there with more say. Now here is a problem is that everyone from the external side, or now it's very strange, first time I'm seeing in the history, because I did, that losers are not saying to the victors, they are dictating the victors and expecting that what they are.
And they'll listen to them.
They will listen. How is it possible? Is it human? In a real politic, any loser is able to guide or dictate the victor? No. That is a practical thing. Yes, you and I, or we all here debate many times. We say, you can do this, you can do this. That's the Prime Minister's use the word inclusiveness. That is the things. And we are not here, frankly speaking, we are not here protector or projector, or you can say propagators of the Taliban. I am just saying this is a reality. In the real politics, when the Allies won the war, Nazis were hanged. They saw the Nuremberg trial, they saw the, what we call it, Tokyo trial. They have to wait and see. And it's a good thing that Taliban announced amnesty for everything. Otherwise, there could be a Panjshir trial.
Western media isn't talking about the immensity and all this. Primarily, they're just focusing on certain targeted agenda.
Yeah,
That
but
is
so we
the
have to be,
problem.
no, we have to live with the reality. Neither European analysts, I think in the American Congress, they are now sounding realistic that we have to
The way they
them.
grilled Blinken the other day, sir.
Yeah.
That was something.
They are blank. They all are blank on this, and they are not. I fail to understand from where the stories are, or who the analysts these are, that they are making the. It's the same thing. There was time when we had a nuclear capability, and they were saying, "Oh, it has nothing." Focusing on India and then basing on Americans has a bad luck at this time.
All right.
When their new power is challenging, where the Americans are talking about two-sided trap, and they are betting on India. And Indians are the liar. Indians are, interestingly, agreed. If the Taliban is a radicalized militant government,
What about India?
what about the Modi? Modi is the biggest, you can say, he's a Parakcharak.
Terrorist.
That is the biggest, and he
Sir,
was a
same
terrorist.
man was
declared
denied
terrorist, sir.
the
He was
visa when he was the
declared
chief minister.
Yeah, his
And later
visa's
on,
cancelled.
Remember, sir?
Sitting
And when he
chief
became the prime
visa's
minister,
cancelled.
he was accepted. So if the Taliban, let's suppose they were a bunch of people, let me put it this way, or a group, which was a band outfit, let's suppose it this way. But if they have a legitimate government now that is accepted by many countries, will be accepted perhaps, that means that that legitimacy should be given
Look,
to them.
just 1 minute.
Quick comments, sir.
In 2002, butcher of the Gujarati Muslim was disowned by everyone in the West.
Correct.
Modi was sitting.
The Americans in particular.
Americans, Europeans, they cancelled his visa. In 2014, the butcher of the Gujarati Muslims became a prime minister. All crimes were shelved. Same as with the
Clean
Taliban. They are now in the government. They have a clean sheet.
So they have
they
to-
received the clean sheet when they signed the peace agreement with the Americans.
I think. Now, sir, another important point, and that is about the SEO summit now. So I think this is going to be very important after this entire episode. This is the first mega, I would say, summit that is going to take place. And all the real and actual stakeholders, other than India, would be there, sir. Every country has its own interests. They have their own concerns also, whether it's Iran or Pakistan. or the Central Asian countries perhaps, or China or Russia for that matter. So how fruitful or useful this particular summit would be, sir, when the Prime Minister Imran Khan would be there, and obviously, sir, there are certain observer group members also. How do you see this, sir?
You see, this is a gathering of countries or stakeholders who are all having a common interest, and that common interest is that Afghanistan must remain peaceful, because it will be only that with Afghan peace that these countries will be free from any threat of terrorism from emanating out of Afghanistan. And of course, not only that there will be absence of terrorism, but of course there will be regional connectivity, there will be trade, there will be business, and of course there will be development. And fortunately, all the stakeholders have the same interest. Whereas had there been other stakeholders like USA or India or even Israel, then of course they would have been interested not in peace in Afghanistan, they would have been interested in the failure of Taliban, because the success of Taliban actually validates American failure, because
it's directly proportional.
Yes,
Not only American, but the entire alliance.
West also, NATO.
All the 50 countries who were party to the US, who started this Operation Enduring Freedom. And that is why, as we just were talking earlier, that they continue to find faults and failures within the Taliban ranks, so that they can continue to, as I said earlier, minimize their embarrassment. Because in 2001 they removed the Taliban, and in 2021 the Taliban have come back
with all the guns blazing.
Yes.
Let's put it this way.
And when you look at Afghanistan, not that they have left a very progressive or very developed Afghanistan, and again they are fearing the same.
So there is no development that is taking place. Honestly, a little bit of development is actually through India, to be honest.
Absolutely.
And we continue to have this fear of terrorist groups emanating out of Afghanistan, which the Americans had at that time. So the situation has not changed from 2001 to 2021, with 20 years of American occupation, with over $2 trillion having spent and killed, and the death of so many Afghanis, both civilians and their military men. And as I said, that with SCO summit, I think a very productive outcome is expected, because all the stakeholders are interested that Afghanistan must become peaceful. So, and I'm sure they're going to, the Taliban regime is going to.
But Siddha, my question in fact was in this perspective that what about India? Because they have got their own concerns, right? Whether they are perhaps of that level or not, but still, they because it's a sovereign country at the end of the day, it's a member of SCO, it's a nuclear state as well, sir. So, and it seems that most of these countries, they are on the same page, India seems to be on another. Do you think this particular forum can influence India, or can perhaps put pressure on India? Or you think they are out of the league now, they're more into the Western basket now, sir?
Well, I think with Taliban having come in, the Indians have lost a foothold in Afghanistan. And of course, they have had an investment of $3 billion, and they had an opportunity for 20 years to create trouble for Pakistan.
Which they did.
From the West, and which they did. And now with Taliban having been there, the Indians have lost this opportunity, which they continue to enjoy for 20 years under American patronage. And that probably was their only stake. And I think if the Indians look at it pragmatically, with a peaceful Afghanistan, with a well-connected Afghanistan, India is going to get an opportunity of trade with Central Asia through Pakistan and Afghanistan. And I think they should accept this new reality and avail of this new opportunity. And if rationality prevails in India, I think they are going to adapt this route. Otherwise, they will continue to miss out on this opportunity and become a pariah in the region.
Because at the end of the day, we have to understand that the Indians rather have to understand that India is not located in Europe or in the Western world. It is here, it will remain here. China will remain their neighbor, Pakistan is going to remain their neighbor. So that equation might be pretty interesting for them in the future also. So, but coming to you, there is one important factor, and that is about the financial course. Obviously, Afghanistan needs money, and this is what the Prime Minister has said on a couple of occasions, that they need to be supported, they need to be looked after, and then we'll see what are we getting in return. Because the whole world has started blaming them rather than supporting them, and then seeing what happens. Maybe they really want them to get frustrated, but I think if they haven't been frustrated in the last 20 years, a few weeks won't matter to them. And these are much better conditions in which they are living as compared to the previous one. Sir, the long-term future of Taliban, do you think the trouble has already started against them, or by the Western world and the Indians to delegitimize their government, number one, and secondly, to throw them out in one way or the other by putting pressure on them or creating differences within their own ranks? Because this is perhaps, divide and rule is the formula of the West, sir. You all know that. You think, sir, that kind of a formula is going to be a workable solution for the West against the Taliban, sir?
I think the people who know the Taliban and their mentality and their faith in Allah, they would certainly reach to the conclusion that these kind of formulas would be no more applicable in Afghanistan. That time has gone. The problem is that, as my colleagues said, that whatever India had invested in Afghanistan, that seems as it has gone to drain. Now, even yesterday, one consignment of arms and ammunitions being brought from Helmand was caught on Chaman border by the Taliban, and they recovered a lot of arms and ammunitions.
Coming in from Helmand means coming in from where?
From Helmand to Pakistan via Chaman border. They caught that consignment on Chaman border. And the Taliban said that this consignment was meant for terrorist activities in Pakistan. They have arrested the people and the investigations are in progress. Now, why US is worried? Because up till now, US has been playing a double game. They have double standards. They have different kind of approach to India and different kind of approach to Pakistan. Pakistan, they have always used, whenever they needed to push Pakistan to fight their wars. So, and on the other hand, they are trying to cover up all those weaknesses of India, like the human rights and the women rights violation in Kashmir. I have not heard of any American or any Western country talking about the human rights violation in Kashmir or in Palestine, but the only place where they would talk about the human rights would be either Pakistan or Afghanistan, not India, where every day thousands of
women are being raped,
Absolutely. And killed, and that is the tragedy of the double standard of the American and the Western policy. Now, as I have said earlier, that the Americans or the Western countries are worried about this spirit, that how come that 70,000 Taliban have defeated 150,000 American and allied troops plus 350,000 Afghan army only by 70,000, not having even sophisticated weapons, not having any luxurious things to eat.
And despite another fact, sir, not losing many lives.
Not losing many lives. That is, and I tell you that the American soldiers who have returned from Afghanistan to US, more than 30% of those soldiers have committed suicide. It is on record. So the trouble now is that the Americans really, they don't want a strong Pakistan, neither they would want a strong Afghanistan. So they would level different kind of accusations against Taliban and Pakistan. But the fact of the matter is that Taliban have come, and have come not by making any request to the Americans, but by sheer, their power to fight, and they fought it very bravely.
They just walked over and everybody surrendered. There was no resistance other than Panjshir for that matter.
And I tell you, sir, that I can bet with anybody that 99% of the Afghans are so happy with the coming over of Taliban, because the kind of atrocities
they've seen
were being carried out by during the Karzai and the Ashraf Ghani government and the Americans themselves. The kind of raps that they made during their stay and the kind of crimes that they should be tried for war crimes in Afghanistan. Rather than, now they know that somebody might take up this question.
So why
and
not
regarding
to try
this,
Donald Rumsfeld, Mr. Bush, Dick Cheney, and
they
there's a long list?
They should be. Frankly speaking, the Taliban should make this counter request, that they have committed war crimes and they should be tried, for the war crimes. Now the problem for people think that economically whether they would survive or not. I tell you,
So that is a
those who trust Allah, it is Allah who provides everything, and Allah has His own ways to help His people.
Shazir Sahab, I fail to understand one thing, that $9.5 billion have been frozen, $400 million of the the tranche that was supposed to come in from the IMF, that has been blocked. And then we talk about that, pledge more money, 1.2 billion has been pledged. I mean, what is this going on? I mean, do they really want to help Afghanistan, or what is this?
I tell you, with the coming over of this new bloc, which is, the present conference going on in Tajikistan. Now, all these countries know that the Americans want to destroy Afghanistan. They did nothing for the last 20 years. And it was said by Joe Biden himself that we had not gone there for reconstruction. We had our own aims and objectives which we achieved, and therefore we left Afghanistan. So they are not the well-wishers of Afghanistan, but Allah has His own ways to support people. Now this new bloc, and especially China, is coming out all the way to support Afghanistan, and only China would be more than enough to
because they really
carry out
believe in the constructive projects, and they also believe in supporting the country. So because the way, I mean, initially 31 point something billion dollars.
Sir, the only thing,
forget about these digits. We have to keep in mind that the Taliban government or the Taliban system, that is not very costly. These IMF and World Bank, where their aids comes, 20% reach there and 40–80% only remain there, and then consultancies. I think that this
then corruption, not even 1% is spent.
This Bretton Woods system-based organization,
the same is the case in Pakistan.
Prosperity. So I think the Taliban can survive without their assistance.
All the money which the US aid or other, 90% of it is being taken away back as consultants and as their own people, if
Sir,
anybody
who got richer in the last 20 years? I mean, there was a very interesting report. Few generals, few admirals, couple of multinational corporations, certain companies like Boeing, for example, McDonnell Douglas.
That's the reason we are seeing
and
in the 90s, they were welcomed. Again in 2021, they are welcomed by the Afghans. This is a replica.
You will see that among the European countries, there is a lot of now disagreement with the American policies on Afghanistan.
Indeed.
Because they have their own interest. like the
Well,
French
the withdrawal
who made
was
Ahmad
totally
Shah Massoud.
by the Americans. I mean, even the NATO members were not informed about the timings and everything. And they said, what was this going on?
You know how Ahmad Shah Massoud was made the line of Panjshir? Because the Frenchies, they had their own interest in Afghanistan of their gemstones and precious stones. And because of that,
also in Panjshir.
they are in
emeralds
Panjshir.
and the rubies.
And because of that, he was made the line, although he never fought against the Russians. You know, I can say it that the people who have fought against the Russians are the Pashtuns of Afghanistan, not the Persian lot. Absolutely no Persian speaking, neither Uzbeks.
They were in alliance with them.
They were in alliance with them. So these were the Pashtuns. And now the Americans are worried that, you know, if this spillover can go to Kashmir also. And I tell you that
This is the real problem for the Indians, sir,
that
because
the Indian army is so nervous.
it's true.
Because, I tell you, they would not stay even for 1 week against Taliban.
Well, sir, this is a reality. But, sir, anyway, I was just told that we don't have any time left, sir. But, Sherzai Saab, thank you so much for your presence.
Thank you.
Abim Saab, great to have you, sir. And thank you so much, Professor, for your presence as well. And that's all we have for this hour. I'll see you, inshallah, tomorrow at 8. Till then, you take good care. Khuda Hafiz.